Welcome to KRA's The Hub, the official podcast of KRA Corporation. And now get ready to hear workforce topics and trends you need to know on the go.
Well, welcome to KRA's The Hub podcast, where workforce conversations help to amplify real solutions that drive community impact. I'm Jonathan Overall, Director of Communications and Innovation at KRA Corporation and your host of The Hub. Today, I'm honored to welcome a leader, an agent for change in the Ohio Summit County region, Robert DeJournett. He is the director of the Black Chamber of Commerce in Summit County, Ohio. Robert, welcome to KRA's The Hub.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me, and I am excited about our conversation.
Well, before we dive into the work that you're doing at the Chamber, I'd love to start off with knowing a little bit more about you. Can you share with us your personal journey and what's been part of what's shaped your passion for leadership, equity, and community impact?
Sure, great segue. I was born and raised in Akron, Ohio, a product of Akron Public Schools. In my first year of college, I had the privilege of attending HBCU, Clark College. It's called Clark Atlanta now, so I'm dating myself a little bit. Then I came back actually to Akron and graduated from the University of Akron in 1985, way back then. I have a degree in mass media communications with emphasis with business management. And after college, I, tried to go here and there and wanted to move out of state, but ended up back here in Akron. I'm a father of three. Well, we have a blended family, and is actually six, but I have three of my own children. And most of my career, I spent with Summa Health System, which is the largest employer in Summit County. I was with Summa for 30 years. And actually, Summa is where it really shaped my passion and cultivated my leadership. And I had various roles in my tenure at Summa. My last role was the system director for community service and diversity. I got a chance to serve on a lot of community boards to really get to know the community that, I loved and grew up in. And after my tenure at Summa, I went to the Greater Akron Chamber of Commerce, and I was there for 3 years. And then I started my own consulting, and I'm also a pastor as well. So I've been bivocational for at least 10 years of my career. And after I left the Greater Akron Chamber and started my own consulting, that's when I really felt led and felt the need to co-found. Actually, I co-founded the Black Chamber of Commerce of Summit County about a year or so ago. And I asked a person who was the regional director for the MBAC Minority Business Assistance Center for our region to join me in being a co-founder of this organization, realizing that it was a great need to help close the gap in economic development, specifically in the Black community. And again, it's a true calling, but I have a very bright and experienced co-founder who's the COO, and I am the president and CEO. And we launched in February of this year, and now we're up and rolling.
Robert, for our listeners who may not be familiar with Summit County, Ohio, can you give us a description of the community, the economy? What's the business climate like in Summit County, and specifically where Black-owned businesses fit in that picture?
Okay. Well, Summit County is a county of about a little over 500,000 people. It's about 14 to 15% are African Americans. Our economy is pretty much, the workforce is comprised of a lot of healthcare and education organizations. We have three major healthcare systems. and that's where a lot of our employment is. And we have University of Akron, but we also have Kent State right up the street. I think about 14% of our economy is in manufacturing. And when it comes to Black businesses, I know we still don't have a good handle on how many we have, but during the COVID era, when the ARPA dollars were out there and funding. We had over 600 Black businesses that apply for that funding, and that's just a fraction of what's out there. But our community is really, in my opinion, a very collaborative community. A lot of good resources here. I always say our community is resource rich, coordination poor, because we could do a better job of coordinating and connecting the dots. We have more small businesses than large corporations here in Summit County. And small businesses, it's inclusive of our Black owned businesses, which I believe is vital to the core of our community. We actually commissioned a study in 2018. That's when I left SUMA, but the study was to look at our economy, and it's called Elevate Greater Akron. And it was a intentional approach to how do we look at where our economy is. And the Brookings folk did this study, and then we had like four of our major leaders in the community from the city of Akron, the county, the GAR Foundation, and the Greater Akron Chamber were taking the lead on this. And that's what really created the role that I served in at the Greater Akron Chamber. It was a vice president of opportunity and inclusion. And the role was specifically to help close the gap in economic development when it came to our Black community, because the study showed that our Black community had, whether intentional or unintentional, had been excluded from opportunities. And we knew as a community, if that was going to continue, it was going to impact the entire community. So, but our community is pretty, I would say, collaborative, but you have all the folks at the table in a collaborative way, but when we leave the table, we kind of go back into our own little zone. So that's why one of the reasons that prompted me to start the Black Chamber of Commerce, to help fill that gap.
On that note, you mentioned the gaps in opportunity. You also mentioned it's a region that is resource rich, and there is the need for a lot of coordination. I'm sure you've heard this. I know I've heard this before as well. Sometimes it comes up in conversation, the why. Why do we need a Black Chamber of Commerce? And so my question would be, what are some of the unique challenges and barriers that Black business owners face in general, but also specifically in Summit County, that really justify the existence of the Black Chamber?
Well, I think it's common across the country, but in Summit County, where I think the challenges and barriers are is just access to the available resources. Because we have the resources, our ecosystem is comprised of viable organizations to help, but making those connections, there are so many folk that are not taking advantage of the opportunities and the resources, right? So there's a lack of, or it could be a better way of how we coordinate that. And a lot of our businesses are not in the loop to really take advantage of what's available, not being at some of those tables where they can find out more. Because a lot of our businesses, they're making ends meet, and they are working in their business as opposed to working on their business. So I believe there's opportunity to help them, but we really have to determine what are some of the root cause effects. And because everyone's not at the same level. So, and everyone doesn't start at the same place. So how do we meet our business owners' needs where they are and give them access to the available resources? And how do we make our ecosystem work in an impactful way instead of being more siloed?
What are some of the ways, as you have spent this time getting to know, building relationships with the businesses in the community? You obviously know the area very well as a pastor, community leader, experience in healthcare, bringing that lens into this role of leading the Black Chamber of Commerce. How has that shaped some of the specific initiatives and programs that you've launched and that you've seen help make a real difference in the Black business community?
I think for us, it's a way of how do we connect and convene and advocate on behalf of our Black businesses, on behalf of our members in a more intentional way? How do we provide that education and provide the resources or connect them with the resources? It's more of, I think we need a little bit more hand holding, because how do we help develop and empower and promote and support our Black owned businesses, which is our mission? And the way we communicate, it has to adapt to how our businesses want to be communicated to, because it's not a one size fits all. We have to be flexible enough to meet our owners where they are, as far as when there is opportunity for education and workshops. We can't have them all during the day. We have to be flexible weekends, evenings, and times that when our owners can take advantage of that. So I think we have to be more intentional, and we have to provide opportunity for our businesses to take advantage of what's there, and also do those handoffs, because our ecosystem, we have our Akron Urban League, we have our organization called Bounce Innovation Center, we have our banks, our CDFIs, and where they can have access to capital. But how do we prepare our businesses instead of just sending them to different organizations within our ecosystem? We have to make sure that we send them to the right place at the right time, and they're more prepared instead of being sent around the horn, so to speak.
Can you give us some insight, perhaps, at looking back over the last year, some of the specific initiatives or programs with some outcomes that you look back on and that you're the most proud of when you look back at some of the work that you guys have done over the last year?
Okay. Well, we actually we started and incorporated ourselves and got everything together last year, but we just launched in February. And that was unique because we had a launch event and it was supported by the community. And what we did was, to get our startup funds, we asked 100 community folk, organizations, leaders, individuals, if they first, we socialized the idea of, do we need a Black chamber? And overwhelmingly, it was received so well. And so we asked those folk to help us with the startup funds, because we wanted to show that we had community support. So we asked 100 people to give us $1,000 to start. And those are our founding donors. And it went over very well. When we first started, we said we were only going to cap it at 100. So the first 100, and not knowing that we were going to get 100 as fast as we did. And so we had to create another opportunity called the Heritage Circle. So we ended up with 100 founding donors, and we have to date about 25 Heritage Circle donors. That what helped us get our seed money. And so we're proud of the fact that we have support from our community and organizations within our community that chipped in to be founding donors. And so we just opened up our membership. We had to get our office established. So we have a brick and mortar where we lease space in a really good area, good area. It has bus transportation. It's in the middle of a neighborhood where people know that, a lot of traffic there. So we got our office set up, and then we just opened up our membership in May, and we have about 25 members to date. But in the meantime, even prior to that, we had been helping businesses where they needed help, whether they were members or not. And then we knew National Black Business Month was coming up. So and we're really proud of this, that we had a number of initiatives and programs during this month. We created a monthly calendar of businesses, events that they were going to be at or anything they were doing. We had a sow a seed marathon for our members. And what we did was we had people just sow seeds into these businesses, that we highlighted the businesses. We had a business business crawl where we highlighted anything that businesses wanted to highlight about themselves. And we created what was a passport. And we had a competition. It's still going on to the end of August. And the competition is go to these businesses. And if you go to so many of them, then you'll get a chance to get a prize, to win prizes. And we culminated a lot of our efforts with a marketplace, Black Business Exchange, a marketplace experience where we had Black businesses, over 50 plus businesses. Our goal was to get 30 to 50 vendors to come down to the Akron Urban League and we can showcase them. We had our churches, about 15 churches were involved, and that Sunday, praying over our businesses and then encouraging their members to go support businesses. 50 vendors, which included food trucks, and I mean, from A to Z, we wanted to raise awareness about this marketplace. And we also wanted to empower our Black business owners, and vendors were not only able to sell their products, but also network with one another, share their stories, and begin building lasting relationships with one another. And we're highlighting the economic impact, and we're in the process of that right now. We asked those vendors, how much money did you make? So we're going to report out that this is how much the impact of all those businesses that participated in that. So we were very, very proud of just our efforts. We had about over 400 attendees in competition with a lot of other events that was going on that day. We had over 410 attendees that attended, which was phenomenal. So we're getting a lot of great feedback about that. So we're really happy about the success of that. And it's really successfully fostering that business to business connection, because that's one of the cornerstones of our mission. We want to be able to have our business owners do business with one another as well.
That's great. So you guys have been able to launch, you've been able to create community interest, community excitement around this effort with Black businesses.
Yes, sir.
And it's great to hear about the initiatives that you've already started and have already been so successful. Well, you and I have talked about your background and also the work that KRA Corporation does in the local area. And I will mention KRA operates the Career Center, the OMJ, Ohio Means Job Center in Summit County, as well as the county over in Medina. And you have some experience in your previous work with chambers working with workforce development organizations. Talk to us about that support and how important it is for workforce organizations and the chambers and businesses to be connected together to really ensure businesses have access to skilled talent that they need from the local community.
Well, you said it, Jonathan. You really said it. We have to be connected because it goes hand in hand. And I had when I was at SUMA, I got a chance to sit on the workforce development board of OMJ and the things that they're doing. And so I know firsthand just how important it is to connect the dots because a lot of our community, when it comes to businesses and how they need employees, right? They are employers. So how do we help them get employees, and how do we partner and leverage the connections? Because, well, I'll give you an example of one thing that we did. We piloted with a nonprofit organization called Nonstop Growth, and they were trying to target those who were susceptible to it's like a violence intervention program, right? Those who were susceptible to get in trouble, they were connected to some type of violence or had someone in their family that had been incarcerated. So we created a partnership with a major employer, Summa Health, and we took them through. We took actually, we had about 30 individuals that applied for the program because we really just piloted it. We had 12 that we selected, and we took them through a 6-week curriculum to prepare them for the workplace. And if they went through successfully, we would refer them to SUMA for open positions. And it went off very, very well. And they went 6 weeks through. SUMA was part of it from the beginning to the end. We had them come in, talk about what it takes to work at their organization. We did some things with mental health, legal. We had some banks that gave education on when you get your paycheck, what do you do with it? How do you read all the stuff on the paycheck? It was just phenomenal. And actually, we're looking to partner with Ohio Means Jobs as well, because they have access to a lot of resources and trainings to prepare the workforce. So the connection is a no-brainer because a lot of our business owners, they want qualified employees as well. So you have to be an employee. Well, you don't have to be an employee, but in order to be a good employer, you have to be a good employee as well. So we know how important it is to ensure that businesses have access to skilled talent they need. So our efforts to leverage one another is going to be key to our success in the future.
That's great. Well, I know our team locally looks forward to continuing the collaboration and working with you, as well as the economic development and the greater list of chambers within that region as well, to continue that partnership. Well, in closing, Robert, as you mentioned earlier, this is National Black Business Month, the month of August, and we're recording this here in the final days of the month of August. But when you look ahead in the future, your vision for the Summit County Black Chamber, what impact do you hope to have through the chamber to continue now, but also in the years to come?
Well, my hope and vision is that we create avenues that lead to sustainability, scaling their businesses, and also which eventually is going to lead to generational wealth. The Black Chamber of Commerce of Summit County is a trusted entity, and we want our owners, our business owners, to feel that they can depend on us to provide the guidance and helping them in their development, to empower them to have the confidence to be a viable and successful business, and that they feel supported. And know that we will support them at every step in their journey to succeed. Because our mission is to develop, empower, promote, and support Black-owned businesses, but we're inclusive of all businesses because we know our members are not just Black business owners, but our focus is how do we lift up that population, because we are our majority of what we do is for Black businesses, but we know that it takes all businesses to working together in order to ensure that our entire community has the same opportunities.
That's great. Closing gaps, access to opportunities. Robert, it's been great to sit down and have this conversation with you, connecting with you as well. I look forward to the future partnerships along with KRA and the work that you're doing and partnering at the community level with the work that we're doing. And collective impact is our goal in the local region of Summit County and Medina in Ohio. Tell us, how can we follow the work that you're doing and learn more about it?
Sure. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Our website has all the information at Black Chamber SC for Summit County.org. That's Black Chamber S as in Summit, C as in County.org. And you can follow us, subscribe to our email list, or become a member, because we have members across, not just in Summit County. One of the things I did not mention, but I should have mentioned, is that we are members of the U.S. Black Chamber. And the U.S. Black Chamber, our members have access to that platform as well. And they've been a wealth of knowledge and information and support for us. So thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, KRA, for all that you're doing to help our community, because we look at you all as part of our community as well.
Well, Robert, I believe this won't be the first time and only time that you're on the Hub. I look forward to having you back. I look forward to future visits to Ohio and connecting and maybe at some events that we're working on together. But thank you for joining the Hub, and look forward to staying in touch and working with you forward in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you for listening to KRA's The Hub. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To learn more about KRA Corporation, visit www.kra.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.